Back with another review, and today we're going to talk about a review, The Hunt for Red October. Now, if my eyes look a little bit watery, right now I'm fighting a little cold, but I'm pushing on through. I wanted to get this review out because I watched it a few days ago, and it's a really solid movie. It's a first time watch for me. Directed by John McTiernan. Now, of course, before this, John McTiernan directed Predator. He also directed Die Hard. And after this, he would direct Last Action Hero, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Yes, I know he directed the Rollerball remake. But, to me, John McTiernan is a guy that has directed some great movies. Movies that we still talk about today. Predator, Die Hard, we still talk about these movies. And, it's a shame that, John McTiernan, because of the whole wiretaps ordeal, that he can't get one more movie. If it's one, why can't John McTiernan get one last chance? I mean, have him direct John Wick 5. That's just an idea. I know it would never happen, but get John McTiernan in there. But I know that's just wishful thinking. But, I'm a big fan of John McTiernan. And, yeah, this is a really solid movie. Now, the plot, of course, is based on the popular Tom Clancy novel, which I haven't read the novel. But this movie tracks, talking about the plot, you have this Soviet submarine led by this captain, Marco Ramius, played by Sean Connery. And he abandons his orders and heads for the east coast of the United States. And he's equipped with innovative stealth technology. And his submarine, the Red October, is virtually invisible. But at the same time, you have this American sub, they detect the Russians' presence. And you have, meanwhile, the CIA character, Jack Ryan, played by Alec Baldwin, he's brought in to determine what Sean Connery's motives are, fearing that he may launch an attack. But, could he defect? So they're trying to figure out what his plan is, what his motive is. And that's basically the plot here to this movie. Now, when the film came out, big hit. I mean, the budget was around 30 million and it went on to make 200 million. I don't know if it cracked the top 10 of that year, but, for a film that, takes place, a lot of the film takes place in one location, the submarine, the Red October. And I have to give credit to also, I have to mention the cinematography here by Jan de Bont. Before I talk about the cast and so forth, but, the cinematography here, Jan de Bont, this guy, he would go on to direct Speed and Twister. And I give credit to Jan de Bont for the cinematography of the film because he really, made the scenes gorgeous, with the texture and a lot of, red colors and, close-ups and build-up of tension. And, John McTiernan, of course, I have to give credit to as well. But, Jan de Bont, just a great job with the cinematography. And the film was written by, two writers. You had Larry Ferguson, who he wrote Highlander and Beverly Hills Cop 2. And you have Donald E. Stewart, who also wrote, after this, Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger. So the writing's really good, as far as the dialogue and, the different, what's the word I'm looking for? Because the film, it's very heavy on the naval lingo or, what's another word for lingo? But, and again, I haven't read the novel, so I don't know, how close is it to the novel? What's changed? What's different? What have you? I'm not too familiar with, the novel. I know who Tom Clancy is, but again, I don't know what is the same, what is different. But again, the writing is top notch. The cinematography is top notch. The direction by John McTiernan is top notch. And the cast here, you have Sean Connery, who definitely is. I miss Sean Connery. Sean Connery, he's one of those actors that rest in peace, Sean Connery. But, from the James Bond movies to Indiana Jones to The Untouchables, Outland, great movie. And he's definitely missed. He definitely brings a presence to the film here. As this Captain Marco Ramius, just a really intensity. He really definitely brings, he just brings an intensity to the performance. And, just really, Sean Connery definitely, you could say, he steals the show here. So again, great acting from Sean Connery. He definitely brought a lot of intensity to his performance. Alec Baldwin, he plays Jack Ryan here. Now, there is a making of up here, I believe. And they talked about how they wanted perhaps Kevin Costner, but he was doing that movie, the Buffalo movie, which, of course, Dances with Wolves. And apparently I wrote down here too as well. So a little note about that. Baldwin accepted the role of Jack Ryan because Harrison Ford turned it down. Cast member Sam Neill also benefited from Ford's refusal 3 years later by being cast in the lead role of Jurassic Park. Interestingly, Baldwin asked for a big pay increase for Patriot Games, to which the producers allegedly replied, for that price we can get Harrison Ford. Baldwin held his ground and the studio agreed to the fee, but for Ford instead of Baldwin. I was Harrison Ford, up for this part, but I didn't know that, they had mentioned Kevin Costner, but he was busy, with the Dances with Wolves, which, was another big film of that year. I know that cracked the top 10 of 1990. But Alec Baldwin, I thought he was solid here. The other films that brought back that character, Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, I can say that Harrison Ford is a better Jack Ryan. And I know because of Alec Baldwin, especially now with all what happened. And yeah, I don't want to talk about that. But this is before all that. Alec Baldwin, did some good stuff back in the day, whether it be this or Beetlejuice and some other movies. But as a person, as a human being, now I don't really care for the person. I don't really care for Alec Baldwin now. But I will give him credit with this movie. Again, this is before all that happened. But again, nowadays, I don't care for Alec Baldwin. But this is before that. You also have Scott Glenn in the movie. Another great actor. Scott Glenn, he would be in, I remember he was in Training Day, and he's been in a lot of movies. He was, just a great actor. Great support. James Earl Jones is in the movie. And he plays this analyst, that is an associate of Jack Ryan in the film. And that same character will be brought back later on for the Patriot Games and, Clear Present Danger. I know Patriot Games, but I know that character was brought back later. But he's good support. Sam Neill, great actor. He's also in the film here for a little bit as a subordinate to Sean Connery's character. Tim Curry appears in the film for a little bit. He's not in there too much, but you do see Tim Curry. But you have a strong cast here. A strong cast of actors. Again, Sean Connery definitely brings the intensity to the film. Alec Baldwin is solid, but, I get that he's not everyone's favorite when it comes to that character. Scott Glenn, good support. James Earl Jones, good support. Sam Neill, good support. So you have some great quality actors here in this movie. And again, the way the film is shot, I really enjoy the cinematography and the textures and the close-ups and the build-up of tension, even some of the quiet moments. It is a thriller. It's not much of an action film, so if you're going in expecting like wall-to-wall action, a la Die Hard or, Die Hard 3. You're not going to get that. This is more of an espionage thriller. But, for me, it really works because of the acting and, everyone sells it. And even some of the quiet, subtle moments really puts you in that environment. Because again, it's in a tight space. You're in the Red October, and you just feel like you're with these guys down below. And again, the film was big when it came out. I mean, and the score too. I forgot to mention the score by Basil Palladores. Great score. This is the same guy that also the same year provided the score for Quigley Down Under. He also did RoboCop, the score for that. Basil Palladores, I'm a big fan of. I really enjoyed his score here. Great composer, but I miss that guy. I mean, really enjoy his work. And again, maybe someday I would like to check out the novel. Again, just to see how different it is, or what things are the same. Now, as far as like little side notes and what have you, as far as accepting the role of Marco, Sean Connery initially turned it down on the basis of the plot being unrealistic for the post-Cold War era. And whoever sent the fax neglected to include the forward explaining this movie as historical. And once he received the forward, Connery accepted the role. Now, also too, it says right here, and this is according to IMDb, so I don't know how much of this is true, but due to his obligations on this movie, John McTiernan had to pass up directing Die Hard 2, which, that also came out the same year. Die Hard 2, another big hit of that year, 1990. Die Hard 2 cracked the top 10 of that year. Again, I mentioned earlier, Dances with Wolves, if I can talk right, that also cracked the top 10. It would have been interesting to see what John McTiernan would have done with Die Hard 2, but I still enjoyed Die Hard 2. Rennie Harlan did a great job with that. But again, I don't know how much of that is true, but it would have been cool to see McTiernan, come back for the second Die Hard film. And I'm trying to figure out what else to mention here. I mean, it's visually the film is great. I talked about the cinematography, but even some of the underwater shots, for 1990, I thought they really hold up well. And I really enjoyed the scene. Like one scene I remember where, there's this torpedo coming at the Red October, and Sean Connery's character, he's taking in the speed of the sub, when they're getting ready to turn, and the torpedo is on their tail, and he just happened to, he turns the sub at the right time. And I thought that was a great scene, which you can find on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to mention here, but I mentioned a lot. But as far as the features up here, you do have a commentary by director John McTiernan. Beneath the surface, you have a making of from back in the day. But yeah. So The Hunt for Red October, again, it's a really solid thriller. I mean, in terms of John McTiernan, it's probably not my favorite McTiernan film. I'm going to prefer Predator more and Die Hard more, Die Hard 3 more. But it's still, again, really solid. It's intense. It's an intense movie. Again, don't go in expecting wall-to-wall action, but it definitely, keeps you on the edge a little bit. You want to see what happens next, and great acting from all around. So, yeah, The Hunt for Red October, I recommend. But thank you for watching, and have a good day. For those interested, if you would like to help out with the channel, I'll leave links down below in the description for PayPal and Patreon. PayPal for those who would like to request content on the channel, such as movie reviews, commentaries, discussions, topics, and more. And anything you want to donate there is fine. And there's Patreon for those who would like to be credited in videos for $1 a month. So there's a couple of ways to help out with the channel, either or if you like to do both, that's totally up to you. But thank you for watching and have a good day.